Why alien gods fled after realizing humans invented faith to survive despair. For thousands of years, humanity asked the same question. Are we alone? We searched the stars. We built telescopes powerful enough to see the birth of galaxies. We listened for signals from distant worlds. And eventually, we found something. In the year 2026, a deep space observatory detected a region of the galaxy unlike anything ever recorded. An entire sector spanning hundreds of light years was completely silent. No radio signals, no energy emissions, no signs of civilization, nothing. At first, scientists believed it was a natural anomaly, a cosmic dead zone, but then they discovered something impossible. Ancient structures. Gigantic megastructures larger than planets, scattered across the abandoned sector, evidence of a civilization so advanced it could reshape entire star systems. The media called them the architects, the beings who once ruled the stars, the beings who vanished without explanation. Humanity became obsessed. Why would a civilization capable of controlling suns simply disappear? Where did they go? And more importantly, what scared them enough to leave? The answer arrived 3 months later, a signal, not from a distant star, not from another galaxy, but from one of the abandoned architect structures itself. The transmission was ancient, older than recorded human history, yet somehow we translated it. The first sentence changed everything. The species of Earth must never be contacted. Scientists assumed it was a warning. Perhaps humanity was dangerous. Perhaps Earth contained something unique. But the next sentence shattered every theory. Humans possess a psychological anomaly that even immortals cannot overcome. The world fell silent. Immortals? What did that mean? Who were these beings? And why were they afraid of us? Weeks later, another section of the transmission was decoded. The message ended with a sentence so disturbing that governments immediately classified it, a sentence that would eventually leak to the public, denied its authenticity. Scientists argued over its meaning. Religious leaders debated its implications. But one fact could not be ignored. The message was real, and it had been written by a civilization that existed millions of years before humanity. The architects knew something about us, something we did not know about ourselves. As researchers continued decoding the ancient archive, a disturbing pattern emerged. The architects referred to humanity using a unique designation, not species, not civilization, not even intelligence. Instead, they called humans the meaning makers. No other known species carried such a title. Scientists initially assumed it was symbolic. Then they discovered additional records describing thousands of alien civilizations encountered by the architects. Most species behaved predictably. They searched for meaning. They followed instincts. They pursued survival. But humans were different. Humans created meaning where none existed. And according to the archives, that behavior deeply disturbed the celestial beings. The next recovered file revealed the beginning of the crisis. Millions of years ago, the architects observed humanity's ancestors from afar. At first, they considered humans insignificant, fragile creatures living on a small world. Nothing special, nothing threatening. Then they witnessed something impossible. Humans faced suffering and invented hope. Humans faced death and invented purpose. Humans faced an indifferent universe and invented faith. The architects had never seen anything like it. Most intelligent species accepted reality as it was. Humans reshaped reality inside their minds. One passage became particularly famous after it leaked online. It was written by an architect researcher studying early humanity. The translation read, "They stare into darkness and imagine light. They face oblivion and imagine eternity. They encounter chaos and imagine order. We do not understand how such minds can exist." The words terrified scientists, not because they sounded hostile, but because they sounded afraid. The deeper humanity explored the archives, the more unsettling the truth became. The architects were not gods, at least not in the traditional sense, They were ancient beings of unimaginable intelligence. Civilizations across the galaxy worshipped them. Many believed they were immortal, yet these entities feared something as simple as human belief. Why? That question haunted everyone. Then another fragment was decoded, a fragment explaining the event known as the Great Departure, the moment the architects abandoned humanity's region of space. For centuries, historians believed they left because of war, disease, cosmic catastrophe. The truth was far stranger. They left voluntarily, not because they were defeated, because they became convinced that humanity represented something fundamentally unpredictable, something no immortal mind could fully understand. And immortal beings fear what they cannot predict. The final line of the fragment sent shockwaves across the world, a warning addressed directly to future civilizations. Do not underestimate the species of Earth. When reality offers no salvation, they will create their own. And any being capable of creating its own gods may someday surpass them. For the first time, humanity began to understand. The architects had not fled from human power. They had fled from human potential. The architects had not fled from human power. They had fled from human potential, and somewhere beyond the silent stars. The remaining architects were still watching, the fear of the immortals. The revelation shook Earth. For centuries, humanity had imagined what alien civilizations might fear: superior weapons, advanced technology, cosmic disasters. No one imagined that immortal beings could fear something as simple as hope. Yet that was exactly what the Architect Archives suggested. The gods of the galaxy were afraid of humanity, not because humans were powerful, but because humans thought differently. As more files were decoded, researchers discovered records from the final years before the Great Departure. These records were not scientific reports. They were personal journals, private observations written by individual architects. For the first time, humanity could read the thoughts of beings once worshipped as gods. The entries were unsettling. One architect described humans as a species that refuses to obey reality. Another wrote, "When confronted with impossible odds, they invent reasons to continue." A third entry became famous across Earth. The human mind can transform despair into motivation. We have never observed this phenomenon elsewhere. The more humanity learned, the stranger the mystery became. According to the archives, the architects spent thousands of years studying intelligent civilizations. Most species followed predictable patterns. When faced with extinction, they surrendered. When confronted with overwhelming odds, they accepted defeat. When hope disappeared, they stopped fighting. Humans did none of those things. Again and again, they continued forward, even when logic said they should stop, even when survival seemed impossible. The architects struggled to understand why. Their superintelligent minds analyzed human psychology for centuries. They studied religions, philosophies, myths, stories, dreams. Yet every answer created new questions. Humanity seemed capable of generating purpose from nothing, a parent sacrificing everything for a child, a soldier defending strangers, a scientist pursuing discovery despite failure, an explorer crossing an ocean without knowing what waited beyond the horizon. To the architects, such behavior appeared irrational. To humans, it was normal. Then researchers uncovered the most disturbing archive yet: a classified architect meeting. Recorded millions of years ago, the participants were some of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The discussion centered on one topic: humanity. The transcript revealed growing concern. One architect stated, "They continue believing after evidence disappears." Another replied, "They continue hoping after hope becomes impossible." A third voice spoke words that silenced the chamber. If they can create meaning from nothing, what limits exist on what they may someday create? No answer followed. That question terrified the architects because their civilization was built on knowledge, certainty, prediction, control. Humanity was built on something else: possibility. Humanity was built on something else: possibility. Humans dreamed about futures that did not exist, then spent generations making those futures real. Every great human achievement began as imagination, and imagination was something the architects could never fully predict. Across Earth, public reaction was mixed. Some people celebrated, others were frightened. Many simply felt confused. Could belief really be powerful enough to scare immortal beings? Scientists debated endlessly. Philosophers argued across continents. Religious leaders interpreted the archives in different ways. Yet one conclusion united nearly everyone. The architects had not left because humanity was dangerous today. They left because of what humanity might become tomorrow. Then a final fragment was decoded. A fragment believed to be one of the last messages sent before the Great Departure. The translation appeared on screens across the world, and for several minutes, nobody spoke. The message read, "We have witnessed civilizations that mastered matter. We have witnessed civilizations that mastered energy. We have witnessed civilizations that mastered time itself. But humanity alone may one day master meaning. That possibility frightens us. For the first time in history, humanity realized the ancient gods had not abandoned Earth out of arrogance. They had abandoned it out of fear. And somewhere beyond the silent stars, the beings who fled were beginning to notice something alarming. Humanity was finally discovering the truth, the signal from beyond. For months, humanity studied the architect archives. Every decoded message raised new questions. Every answer revealed a deeper mystery. But then something happened that nobody expected. Something the architects had warned about. The silent region of space spoke back. It began at the Helios Deep Space Observatory, a massive telescope array orbiting beyond Pluto. Its mission was simple: monitor the abandoned architect sector. For nearly a year, the region remained silent. Then, at exactly 03:17 Universal Time, every sensor activated simultaneously. An energy pulse emerged from deep within the forbidden zone. The signal was unlike anything humanity had ever detected. It wasn't radio. It wasn't light. It wasn't any known form of communication. Yet somehow, it carried information. Massive amounts of information. Scientists rushed to decode it. Within hours, the world's greatest supercomputers were working together. Governments declared international emergencies. The public watched anxiously. Everyone sensed something important was happening. The signal continued for 17 minutes, then it stopped. The silent sector returned to darkness, but the message remained, waiting to be understood. 3 days later, researchers achieved a breakthrough. The signal contained language, not architect language, something older, far older. The structure suggested it predated even the architects themselves. A civilization older than the beings once worshipped as gods. The discovery shook the scientific community. If true, the architects were not the first great civilization. They were merely successors. The first translated sentence stunned humanity. The meaning makers have awakened. The world froze. That phrase again, the meaning makers. The title the architects used for humans. The message was talking about Earth. There could be no doubt. Someone or something had been watching humanity for a very long time. As more of the signal was decoded, panic began spreading among researchers. The transmission was not a greeting. It was not a warning. It was a record. A historical account describing why the architects abandoned the region. According to the document, the architects had attempted to solve a problem older than civilization itself, the problem of meaning, why life exists, why consciousness emerges, why intelligent beings continue despite suffering. For millions of years, they searched for answers and failed. Then they discovered humanity, a young species on a distant world, primitive, fragile, insignificant, yet possessing something extraordinary. Humans did not wait for answers. They created them. The architects became obsessed because everything they could not understand seemed natural to humans. One passage chilled everyone who read it. The immortals sought truth. Humans sought purpose. The immortals mastered reality. Humans mastered survival within reality. This difference frightened the gods. The final section of the transmission was heavily damaged. Only fragments survived, yet one fragment stood out, a sentence repeated 3 times, as if its creators desperately wanted it remembered. They are returning. They are returning. They are returning. No context, no explanation. Only those words. The world reacted immediately. Who was returning? The architects? The creators of the signal? Something else entirely? No one knew. But for the first time since the discovery of the archives, humanity felt genuine fear. Not fear of invasion, not fear of destruction, fear of the unknown, because somewhere beyond the silent stars, something ancient had noticed humanity, and according to the signal, it was coming back. The awakening beyond the stars. The final sentence of the transmission haunted humanity. The age of observers will end. The age of creators will begin. Nobody knew what it meant. Scientists debated endlessly. Philosophers filled entire libraries with theories. Religious leaders interpreted the message in countless ways, yet one fact remained undeniable. Something ancient had noticed Earth, and it was watching. 3 months after the signal arrived, strange events began occurring throughout the abandoned architect sector. Stars that had been dark for millions of years suddenly reignited. Ancient megastructures powered up. Gigantic energy networks stretched across entire solar systems. The silent region was waking up. Every observatory on Earth focused its instruments toward the phenomenon. The images were breathtaking. Massive rings larger than planets glowing with golden light. Ancient machines awakening from unimaginable ages of sleep. Entire star systems lighting up one by one. It looked less like technology and more like something alive. Then came the first undeniable proof. A structure known as the Halo of Eternity activated. The megastructure surrounded an entire star. For millions of years, it had remained dormant. Now it was operating again. Energy levels surged beyond anything human science could explain. Even the architect records contained almost no information about it, which meant something terrifying. The architects themselves had not built it. The discovery sent shockwaves through Earth. For the first time, humanity faced evidence of a civilization older than the gods, older than the architects, older than anything known. The first witnesses were real, and their machines were waking up. As researchers monitored the Halo of Eternity, they detected a transmission. Unlike the previous signal, this one was clear, deliberate, directed, and aimed directly at Earth. The world held its breath as translation systems processed the message. Hours passed, then days. Finally, the first sentence appeared, "Children of Earth." The room fell silent. Not humans, not species, not civilization. Children. The message continued. For millions of years, we have watched countless civilizations. Most sought answers. Most sought certainty. Most sought control. You seek meaning. Every word sent chills through the scientific community, because the message sounded less like a warning and more like an observation. Then came a statement that changed everything. The architects feared what you may become. We do not. The sentence spread across Earth within minutes. For the first time since discovering the ancient archives, humanity realized not every ancient civilization feared them. Some seemed curious, interested, perhaps even hopeful. Yet the message wasn't entirely comforting. The next section revealed a truth that shocked the world. The first witnesses had not disappeared. They had chosen isolation. After billions of years observing the universe, they withdrew beyond known space, not because they were weak, not because they were dying, because they were waiting for something they believed would eventually appear. The final lines explained what that something was. A civilization capable of creating purpose where none exists. A civilization capable of hope without certainty. a civilization capable of choosing meaning. We believe humanity may be the first. Earth fell silent. Every government, every scientist, every citizen. For generations, humanity had searched the stars, hoping to find someone else. Now the oldest beings in existence were searching for humanity. Then the transmission ended with one final message, a message that echoed across every screen on Earth. The path ahead is dangerous. The gods feared it. The universe does not understand it. But the future belongs to creators. And somewhere beyond the edge of the known galaxy, something ancient began moving toward Earth. Not as an enemy, not as a conqueror, but as a witness to humanity's next chapter, the journey of the first witness. The message from the first witnesses transformed humanity. For the first time in history, Earth was no longer searching for answers. Answers were searching for Earth. Across the world, people stared at the final transmission again and again. The future belongs to creators. No one fully understood what it meant. Yet somehow everyone felt its importance. Humanity stood at the edge of something enormous, something that would change the destiny of the galaxy. Months passed. The ancient structures continued awakening. One by one. Across the silent sector, dormant machines illuminated the darkness. Gigantic rings activated around forgotten stars. Planet-sized archives powered up. Ancient gateways opened for the first time in millions of years. The galaxy watched in awe. The oldest technology ever discovered was coming back to life, and all of it seemed connected to humanity. Then astronomers noticed something impossible. One object was moving. At first they assumed it was a sensor error. The structure was enormous, larger than a moon. No object of that size should have been capable of traveling between stars. Yet every observation confirmed the same thing. The ancient construct was accelerating, and its trajectory pointed directly toward Earth. Governments immediately declared emergency meetings. Military forces entered high alert. Scientists demanded more data. Nobody knew what the object was. Nobody knew its purpose. The only certainty was its age. The structure had existed before the architects, before countless civilizations, perhaps before recorded galactic history itself. And now it was approaching humanity. As the mysterious vessel traveled through the stars, another transmission arrived. This one was shorter, clearer, almost personal. Do not fear our arrival. We seek understanding. Your species has achieved what countless civilizations could not. You survived the silence. The phrase puzzled researchers. Survived the silence. What did that mean? The answer emerged from forgotten sections of the architect archives. According to ancient records, advanced civilizations often faced a crisis known as the Great Silence, a moment when they realized the universe offered no guaranteed purpose, no cosmic plan, no predetermined meaning. Many civilizations collapsed after reaching that conclusion. Entire empires disappeared. Species abandoned progress. Some even chose extinction. The architects survived the Great Silence through knowledge. Other civilizations survived through power. Humanity survived differently. Humanity created meaning. And according to the first witnesses, that had never happened before. The revelation spread rapidly across Earth. For generations, humans believed their myths, dreams, stories, and hopes were signs of weakness. Now they appeared to be something else, a strength, perhaps even humanity's greatest strength. The ability to create purpose where none existed. The ability to keep moving forward without certainty. The ability to face darkness and imagine light. Weeks later, the approaching object entered the outer edge of the solar system. Images finally became clear. The structure was breathtaking, a colossal city floating through space. Golden towers stretching thousands of kilometers, entire oceans contained within transparent energy fields, massive rings rotating around a luminous core. It looked less like a spacecraft and more like a world built by beings older than the gods themselves. Then came the most shocking discovery yet. Life signs. Millions of them. The first witnesses were aboard, alive, watching, waiting. For billions of years they had remained hidden beyond the stars. Now they were coming to Earth, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as seekers. Because after observing the universe for ages beyond imagination, they had encountered something they could not understand: humanity. And for the first time in cosmic history, the oldest civilization in existence was preparing to ask humanity a question. The question that changed the universe. The first witnesses arrived in the solar system. For the first time in recorded history, humanity stood face to face with a civilization older than the gods. Their colossal star city entered orbit beyond the moon. The structure dwarfed everything humanity had ever built. Even the largest architect megastructures seemed small by comparison. Millions watched the arrival live. Millions watched the arrival live. No weapons were deployed, no threats were issued, only silence, a respectful silence, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Then the invitation came, a single transmission sent to Earth, not to governments, not to militaries. To humanity as a whole, the message contained only one sentence: "Will you speak with us?" For several minutes, nobody responded. The moment felt too important, too historic. Finally, a reply was sent. A simple, human answer. Yes. 3 days later, representatives from Earth entered the ancient star city: scientists, philosophers, writers, artists, teachers, not soldiers, not politicians. The first witnesses had specifically requested individuals who understood humanity's search for meaning. The request confused many people until they entered the city. The first witnesses were unlike anything humanity expected. They were not gods. They were not monsters. They appeared as luminous beings of living energy. Their forms constantly shifted like starlight moving through water. Ancient, wise, yet strangely humble. The oldest civilization in existence did not greet humanity with superiority. They greeted humanity with curiosity. The meeting lasted for hours. Questions were exchanged. Knowledge was shared. History was revealed. The witnesses explained that they had observed countless civilizations throughout cosmic history. Many became powerful, many became advanced. Some even mastered time, matter, and reality itself. Yet every civilization eventually encountered the same obstacle: the Great Silence. The realization that the universe offered no guaranteed meaning. Most civilizations never recovered. Then one of the witnesses asked humanity a question they had spent billions of years trying to answer. Why do humans continue? The room became silent. Scientists looked at philosophers. Philosophers looked at artists. No one knew how to respond. Finally, an elderly teacher spoke. Because tomorrow exists, the witnesses waited. The teacher continued. Even when life hurts, even when we fail, even when we lose everything, tomorrow still exists. And humans believe tomorrow can be better. The chamber fell silent. For several moments, the ancient beings did not move. Then something extraordinary happened. The witnesses admitted they had never considered that answer. Not once. For billions of years, they had searched for meaning among the stars. They had searched through mathematics, physics, philosophy, religion, yet they had overlooked something simple: hope. One witness finally spoke. Its luminous form glowed brighter than before. The architects feared humanity because they believed meaning must be discovered. You believe meaning can be created. That changes everything. The words echoed throughout the chamber, and for the first time, humanity understood why the gods had fled. Not because they feared destruction, not because they feared war, they feared a possibility. The possibility that humans were right. As the meeting concluded, the first witnesses delivered their final message, a message broadcast across Earth, across the architect sector, across the galaxy. For billions of years, we have observed civilizations. Today, we become students. The age of observers is over. The age of creators has begun. The broadcast spread from star to star. Civilizations listened. Empires listened. Even the hidden remnants of the architects listened. And for the first time in cosmic history, humanity was no longer the youngest voice in the universe. Humanity had become its teacher. Years later, historians would describe that day as the beginning of a new era, not the age of gods, not the age of empires, the age of creators, an age built upon a simple human truth, a truth powerful enough to frighten immortals, a truth powerful enough to change the universe, that even in darkness, even in despair, even in silence, humanity would always create its own light. The gods searched the stars for meaning. Humanity created it, and in the end, the oldest beings in existence crossed the universe for a single reason: to learn how humans never stopped believing in tomorrow.